In this video, we will tell you how to prepare the substrate and make a DFS 200 and DFS 500 PUC chips max floor, a thin layer floor, made with a painting technique, fully covered with colored flakes. Work and implementation of a polymer floor on your own should begin with the assessment of the substrate on which the floor is to be made. For the purposes of this video, we will divide the substrates into three categories. Category 1, very good substrate, smooth, without losses, requiring only manual grinding and priming. Category 2, good substrate with few cavities, requiring manual grinding, local filling and priming. Category 3, the substrate is damaged with numerous losses, cracks, uneven. Requires removal of detached elements, manual or mechanical sanding, cutting and filling cracks, filling cavities as well as putty priming. Regardless of the type of surface, each of them must be dry and free from contamination before we start work. For the purposes of this video, we will demonstrate the construction of a Category 3 floor. The next step is to select the flooring material, and calculate the amount of materials needed to complete the planned floor area. As a rule, the amount of materials should be calculated in accordance with the technical sheet of the system, and then add 10%. Once the substrate has been assessed, the system has been selected and the amount of material has been calculated, the flooring can be started. Note: before starting work, always pay attention to the conditions under which flooring work may be carried out. As we have already said, in this video we demonstrate the execution of a floor on a worn, uneven, cavity and cracked substrate. In such a case, work should begin with the removal of loose, detached elements of the substrate. Then score any cracks with a diamond disc. Then, the substrate should be ground with a concrete abrasive stone. After grinding, the whole thing should be thoroughly vacuumed, remembering to use a narrow suction nozzle to clean the cut slits. The next step is to prepare the compound for filling losses and cut cracks. To prepare the putty, use the TechniArt 400 RST, and fire-dried quartz sand with a grain size from 0.1 to 0.4 mm. Start the preparation of the joint compound by mixing component A with component B. Then add quartz sand and mix thoroughly. Sand should be added to the resin until a putty consistency is obtained. The prepared mass should be carefully filled in the cut slots, and then all cavities should be smoothed out evenly. Before commencing the priming operations, carefully protect all elements of the room that could be contaminated with resin by veneering. Remember that bonded resin is very difficult to remove. We start the preparation of the primer by weighing the appropriate amount of component A and component B of the TechniArt 400 RST material, remembering to prepare only the amount of material that we will be able to use in a short time from mixing. Epoxy and polyurethane resins after mixing should be immediately spread on the floor surface, because left in a bucket, they bind in a short time and emit high temperature. To the previously mixed Techniplast 400 RSD ingredients, add quartz sand with granulation, from 0.1 to 0.4 mm, until the consistency of an easily pourable mass is obtained. Most often it is in a weight proportion of about 1:1 ratio. And it depends, as before, on the ambient temperature in such a way that the colder the less sand in the mixture. The prepared mass should be evenly spread with a stainless steel trowel. Priming of Category 1 and 2 substrate can be done by applying the resin without the addition of quartz sand using a resin roller. However, it should be remembered that the best effect is obtained with a putty primer. The primed surface should be left to set for about 12 to 24 hours. Now you should start preparing the materials for the first layer of the floor. You should start with measuring the surface of the working area, and then calculating the required amount of material. Of course, using the technical sheet of the system and remembering the principle of adding 10%. In our case, they are 3 square meters. When measuring flooring materials, the volumetric method should not be used because it is not very accurate. The weight method is appropriate. Rule: resins intended for use should have a temperature of minimum 15 degrees Celsius. Component A should be carefully weighed, then component B should be weighed, in accordance with the proportion given on the package. Mix with a low-speed mixer for about 2 minutes. In order to avoid excessive aeration of the material, it is recommended to use a stirrer with a speed of about 300 revolutions per minute. Pour the material into a clean container and mix again, for about 1 minute. Due to the occurring chemical reaction, the material should be applied immediately after mixing. Do not leave mixed material in the package. The Techniplast resin should be evenly spread on the previously planned working area and then rolled with a resin roller using the cross method, which guarantees even distribution of the material. After covering the entire planned surface, leave it for about 10 minutes, allowing the applied resin to spread evenly. After this time, we start applying decorative flakes. Remember to use spiked shoes, as you will need to walk on the freshly applied resin. We apply the flakes by tossing a small amount of them upwards so that they fall evenly like snowflakes. The activity should be repeated until the surface is evenly filled with no gaps. At this stage, we leave the floor to set for about 12 to 24 hours. After binding, the whole should be thoroughly dedusted, and then, using a stainless steel trowel, gently remove the weakly bonded flakes, and then, thoroughly vacuum the whole thing again. The colorless coating closing our floor should be applied using the squeegee presented in the video. Depending on the desired effect, the floor can be covered with 1 or 2 layers of sealing resin as well as a layer of matte varnish, which gives an effect similar to natural granite. When using more than one sealant, remember to leave each layer to set before proceeding with the next layer. Provided that it is cured in the temperature from 20 to 25 degrees, the floor is suitable for light loads after about 24 hours and obtains full resistance after 7 days.